Summer camps are one of the most common profit leaks in any early childhood business. You plan them, you build your team around them, you fill them with incredible activities, and then you barely break even. Or maybe worse, you run them at a loss and tell yourself it's worth it for the family loyalty. Now, here's what nobody in this industry is talking about. Summer programs are not supposed to be a financial sacrifice. When structured and priced correctly, they should be one of your highest margin revenue streams. The financial bridge that's actually going to fund your fall. Today, I'm giving you the pricing formula, the structure model, and the sweet spot offer framework that's going to turn your summer from a survival season into your best profit season. Welcome, CEOs. Welcome to the Early Childhood Business Made Easy podcast. I'm Kelly Peak, your host, and I'm so excited to help you find more of that time, freedom, and profit that you so deserve. Well, friends, it is May, and you're probably finalizing your summer camp schedule, hopefully, and maybe somewhere underneath the excitement of planning themes and the activities, well, there might be a quiet, nagging feeling that maybe you've had before. That feeling that by the end of July, you are going to be exhausted. Your team is going to be stretched. And when you actually look at the numbers, you might even realize that you barely made more than it costs to operate over the summer. Now, does any of that sound familiar? Now, I have run summer camps at Peak Academy and Play Boutique for over 2 decades now. I have done summer camps that have energized me and summer camps that have nearly broke me. And the difference between those two experiences had almost nothing to do with the quality of the programming or the happiness of the families. It had everything to do with whether the program was structured and priced to be profitable, or whether I was just trying to keep the kids busy. I was just trying to keep those families happy, and then just hoping in the end that all the math would work out. Now, summer camps, my friend, it should not be a financial sacrifice. They should not drain your team. They should not stress your budget, and they should not leave you limping into September. When structured intentionally, summer programs can be one of your highest margin revenue streams of the entire year. It can be the financial engine that funds your fall. You can build your cash reserves, and it can give you momentum as you're heading into your biggest enrollment season. So today I'm discussing the summer profit strategy that's going to change everything. It includes the following 3 key strategies. Number 1, run your summer programs through the profit maximizer before you finalize your pricing. Number 2, structure your summer sessions for revenue stability, not just family convenience. And number 3, add revenue without adding chaos. And this is where the sweet spot summer add-on strategy comes into play. Summer camps that barely break even, well, they aren't a programming problem. They're a pricing and a structure problem, and those are completely fixable. So when you apply the profit maximizer, the framework, to your summer offerings, and then you price each program to cover real costs with intentional margin built in, well, that's when summer stops being a financial survival season and it starts being the revenue bridge that's going to help you fund your strongest fall yet. That is what it means to operate your summer like a CEO, a confident early childhood operator, instead of an exhausted camp director. So be sure to download the summer program profit template at kellypeak.com/podcast as you're listening to this episode, so you can calculate your own numbers as we go. My friend, it is time to rewrite the rules on summer programming. Now, I want you to carry this mindset shift with you into this summer, and then hopefully every summer planning conversation you have from this point forward. Summer is not a gap between school years that you have to fill. Summer is a revenue season that you get to design. Let me repeat myself, my friend. Summer, it's not a gap, it's a revenue season, and you choose how you design it. Now, the families in your community, they need high quality, structured experiences for their children during the summer months more than at almost any time of the year. Many parents are still working. Kids are still needing engagement. They need enrichment, and they need that kind of intentional learning that your program can uniquely provide. The demand, it's real over the summer. The only question is whether you've built the pricing and structure to be adequately compensated for meeting that demand. Now, the numbers, they make a better case than any pep talk I could give you. The average working parent faces 13 to 15 days per year when schools are closed, but they still need care. And summer represents the largest single block of those days. So if you charge $250 per child for a 1-week camp session and enroll just 50 children, that's $12,500 in revenue from a single 5-day program. So at Peak Academy, we structure our summer around 2 5-week sessions at a monthly tuition rate that reflects a longer billing cycle. So the way that we do is you commit to 2 5-week sessions, you're billed per week, but you pay at once in each 5-week session. Because summer months, they're 5 weeks rather than 4, the monthly rate is proportionally higher. And the families understand and accept that structure when it's communicated with clarity. So again, during the school year, our tuition runs on a 4-week month. And during the summer, it's 2 5-week months. Now, we are very clear about that. And the result is that our summer programs consistently operate at higher margins than actually some of our school year months. Now, not because we're charging more than our value, but because we're financially charging what our value is actually worth. So again, yes, it does cost a little more to operate in the summer, but you have to change your mindset around that. Summer is usually more costly to operate. For many preschools, play cafes, if you're offering summer camp, childcare centers, enrichment programs, a lot of kiddos take time off in the summer. So you actually have a smaller pool of children to choose from. So you have a smaller number of kiddos that are coming, which makes your cost more. So again, you have to change your mindset around summer. You do not want to be charging the smallest amount possible just to get people into the door, because what's going to end up happening is you're going to find it actually is going to cost you more to operate that during that time frame than during the school year. Now, I worked with the preschool director who had been operating summer camps for 4 years. Every year, she planned them with genuine enthusiasm. She had great themes. She was so creative. Her team had such creative activities. She had a team that loved the work. And every year, by August, she was exhausted. And the summer financials, well, they were underwhelming. She'd looked at the revenue and feel vaguely disappointed without being able to articulate why. When we sat down and we ran her summer numbers through the profit maximizer, the picture came into focus immediately. Like I said, she didn't realize it was actually costing her more in the summer to operate. She had been pricing her camps based on what felt fair and what she thought parents would accept, what they'd be willing to pay, not based on what her actual costs required. And her payroll for summer was running at nearly 62% of summer camp revenue because she was providing all those great extras she thought her parents would love, which added more to her payroll. So her supply and activity costs, well, they were untracked. So she didn't realize that they were absorbing another 8 to 10%. And her profit margin on summer programs, well, it was hovering around 3%, maybe 2%. And that was way lower than the rest of the school year. So we rebuilt her summer pricing using a simple formula. We calculated her real cost per child per day and added in the target profit margin, and then we set the rate. We restructured her sessions into 2 5-week blocks on a tuition model rather than a per-week registration, which stabilized cash flow and eliminated the last-minute enrollment scramble. Now, I want to talk about this a little bit more in the podcast because you definitely can run on a per-week basis. But that really is for those programs who have the capability and the skill set to really monitor that, because that takes a little more time when you're doing it by week. You can definitely make more revenue by doing that. But if you're really wanting just to get a guaranteed amount, you want a more stable, structured summer, more peace of mind, I really highly recommend the 2 5-week sessions. But again, we'll talk more about that. We identified 2 add-on offerings. We added on an extended day option and a theme enrichment Friday. And those things generated additional revenue with minimal additional cost. Now, the following summer, when she added all of these things and we put all this planning into place, her margin on camp programs It came in at 14%. She was so excited. She entered September with one of the strongest cash positions she had had in 4 years. And she told me it was also the most enjoyable summer she had had since opening because she wasn't carrying that quiet financial anxiety that had shadowed every previous one. She was clear on her numbers. She knew what was coming. She knew what to expect, and she knew how to deal with it if there was a problem. So, my friend, I want to talk to you today about these 3 strategies when it comes to your summer programs. And the strategy number 1 is you're going to run your summer programs through the profit maximizer before you finalize your pricing. Now, the single most important thing you can do before you lock in your summer camp pricing, again, is run every program through what we call the profit maximizer. This is a framework from module 4 of the Preschool Business Blueprint. For those of you that are in our Clarity Collective, used to be called the Shine Mentorship Program, but it's actually now called the Clarity Collective. Super excited about it. This is the program where it includes the Preschool Business Blueprint, a 7-module course designed all around how to operate your early childhood business with more time and freedom based on our CEO leadership and profit framework. So again, it's in module 4 is what we're talking about. And it asks you 3 questions about every service you offer. What is the demand? What is the true profitability? And does it align with your energy and your team's capacity? Let me repeat those. What is the demand? What is the true profitability? And does it align with your team capacity and your energy? Now, for summer programs specifically, most early childhood operators underestimate 2 cost categories that quietly erode profit. Number 1 is payroll, and number 2 is programming supplies. It gets busy, it gets crazy. You just think you need to have people there to cover either A, your ratios, or B, some exciting fun thing you want to offer. So payroll for summer camps, it can easily creep above 55% of camp revenue, especially if you're adding team members for coverage, paying overtime, or bringing in outside instructors for those themed activities without adjusting your pricing to account for that cost. So the benchmark, remember, for a healthy program of payroll, we always talk about this, is 45 to 55% of revenue. So if your summer camps, which should be the exact same percentage of revenue as the school year, that 45 to 55% are running above that, you have a pricing problem, not a staffing problem. Programming supplies, those are the second sneaky costs. So when you're planning creative theme camp weeks, which is exactly the kind of programming that's going to make your camps memorable, worth the price, and parents that are going to want to be there, well, those supply costs can run from $10 to $30 per child per week, depending on the activity complexity. So that number, it's got to be added to your pricing formula, not absorbed as an afterthought. I know, I get it. I've been there. We all think, oh, we'll just use some old supplies from before, or we have a lot of materials left over. We always say that. And then when it gets time to actual camp time, we find something really unique, really special, and we end up buying it. But here's the simple pricing formula that I use and I teach inside that Preschool Business Blueprint, because it takes into account all those extra things you want to buy and that payroll increase. But the most important thing is if you know you're going to have some really cool, exciting themes, plan ahead, because when you plan ahead, you can plan for those special purchases you want to make. So back to this simple pricing formula. Calculate your total cost per child per day, which includes your per child share payroll, supplies, overhead, and program specific costs. Then set your target profit margin. So I always recommend a minimum of 10%. Now, your goal is going to be to 15 to 20% profit margin. That's my goal for anyone that works with us in our Clarity Collective or our Peace and Profit Society or even our Shine membership. I want to get you to 15 to 20% profit margin, but your minimum should be 10%. You should be budgeting for 10% in mind. That's the goal, especially in your summer, since summer is your opportunity to build those cash reserves for fall. Add that margin to your cost per child per day, multiply that number by the number of camp days, and that's your minimum pricing point. Now, many early childhood operators are shocked to discover that their current camp pricing is below their minimum costs, not including any profit at all. And that's not generosity. That's a business model that cannot sustain itself. So knowing your real numbers, that is the foundation for every other pricing decision you make. Now, the profit maximizer, it's also going to help you identify which of your summer programs or offerings or things that you're doing deserve more investment and marketing, and which maybe you need to restructure or just retire altogether. There's the 80-20 rule that applies here. 20% of your summer offerings are going to generate 80% of your profit. Find those programs, double down on them, and stop pouring energy into programs that keep you busy without building your margin. And I know I can hear what you're saying. You're telling me that parents just are not going to pay. My friend, parents are not going to pay if you are not providing quality. Parents will pay. The parents out there are willing to pay for quality. You're absolutely right. They are not going to pay if they don't see the quality. Parents are our pickiest customers out there, and they want quality. And so they will pay if they know they're getting quality. So whenever I hear someone say to me, Kelly, my parents just can't afford it. They're not going to pay for that. I want to challenge you. What are you providing? Do you believe in what you provide? Do you believe you're providing the highest quality out there? Because if you are, I promise you, they will pay for it. Okay, your action steps here. Before you finalize your summer camp's pricing, I want you to calculate your true cost per child per day for each program type that you offer or service that you offer. Take your projected payroll for each season. Again, you can look at last year and then you can look at what you think you're going to have for this year. Now, for many of us, I've already been advocating you should already be having summer camp signups through if you operate a preschool or if you operate a childcare center, you should have already back in March been advocating to parents and sending out your information about who's coming back for summer. So you should have somewhat of an idea. If you haven't done that yet, do that. So you're going to take your projected payroll, your estimated supply cost per child, add your proportional overhead allocation, and divide that by the number of children you hope to enroll. So compare that number to what you're currently planning on charging. The gap between those numbers, that's your profit margin or your profit leak. So again, it's May. So I'm hoping to catch you with enough time that you're not only out there talking to parents and planning on who's coming for the summer, but you're also handing everything out to your teachers so they know what your weekly themes are going to be so they can start giving you an idea of what kind of activities they want to plan for. So you may have 1 week where you don't purchase anything and you save all that money and then you're going to purchase those supplies for another week. So that next week's camp might be a little more spendy because maybe you already have supplies for camp 1, but camp 2, you don't have anything. So again, because we're starting in May, I'm hoping you can start your planning today. So you're going to work with your team. You're going to give them, if you haven't already, what your themes are planned out for camp, and you're going to have them estimate what supplies they think they're going to want to buy. So that'll give you an idea of how much you need to spend on supplies for that particular week. Go download the summer program profit calculator. It's going to be at kellypeak.com where you're going to find information about this week's podcast episode and run every summer camp program, every offering you're planning this week. Identify which programs are priced for profitability, which need adjustment. The time to fix any pricing problem is right now. You are in May, so before any families commit, go ahead and get that pricing all set and put into place. Okay, my friend, strategy number 2, structure your summer sessions for revenue stability, not just family convenience. This is a big one because I know I get it. We are there. That is our mission. Our motto at Peak Academy and Play Boutique is to make life a little bit easier for today's busy families. Convenience is a priority for us. It is actually one of our core values. So I get it. But you can't do that at the expense of your own peace of mind and financial stability. So the way that you are going to structure your summer sessions, it has a lot of impact on your profitability and just as much as your pricing does. And most early childhood businesses structure summer as a series of individual per week registrations. Families sign up week by week. They pay week by week. You don't know until that Friday sometimes how many kids are actually going to come or maybe not come. And you manage enrollment week by week. And that can work. But it is a model that is most convenient for families and one that is least financially stable for your business. Now, here's why. Per week registration is going to create enrollment unpredictability. It's going to make your payroll planning nearly impossible. You don't know until Monday morning how many kiddos you actually have that week, which means you can't really staff your team efficiently, which means you either overstaff, which is a profit leak, or you understaff, which is a compliance and safety and licensing risk. And so you also lose families to vacation weeks, competing activities, general summer flexibilities. They just want to go to the park or maybe to the lake in ways that erode your projected enrollment without any notice. So the structure that I recommend and that we use year after year is a 2 5-week session. Now, these are 5-week blocks with a tuition model rather than just they pay as they go. So each week is a per week fee. So yes, they have to pay by the week, and it's based on the number of days they're going to be there, but they commit to that 5-week session. So what we do is we give them a form, and it's in 2 5-week blocks, and we ask them to commit to which weeks they're going to be there. So in that first 5-week session, if they're only going to be there 2 weeks, their tuition reflects those 2 weeks. If they're going to be there for 5 weeks, their tuition reflects those 5 weeks. So again, they still get to operate and take their summer time as they want. They get to take their vacations. They get to leave. They get to go and do what they want. But they're letting us know and they're committing to 2 5-week blocks ahead of time so we can plan accordingly. We can staff accordingly. We can open it up to the public accordingly. Now, session 1 is going to run from the end of the school year through July, and session 2 runs July to mid to end August. And families register for a full session and pay a month tuition rate that reflects, again, that billing cycle. Now, for some of you, your summer may be 11 weeks or it may be 12 weeks. So we run into that as well. There are some weeks that there is an extra week. Now, usually when that happens, that is a week for us to close. Usually it's every 3 to 4 years. And we take that week to paint, freshen up, buy new, larger furniture supplies, or get things fixed. But if you end up staying open, that's just an extra week you're going to charge. So again, that particular 5-week session actually could possibly be 6. So whatever that fee is going to be, and if you've been working with me in my program, you know we charge on the 25th of every month, no matter what. So same thing, June 25th is going to get charged for that first 5-week block, and July 25th is going to get charged for the second block. So again, if you have 11 weeks, that second block might actually get charged for 6 weeks instead of 5. But again, someone that may only be coming 4 weeks during that block, but you're charging and committing to each 2-week block. Now, because summer months, usually run for the 5 instead of the 4, you really want to let parents know ahead of time. That's why we hand out the worksheet. We have them actually fill it out. We also have an online registration process. So we tell parents, if you don't want to commit to the 2 5 weeks, that's fine. You can sign up online, but your space is not guaranteed because we do open to the public. But if you fill out that form and let us know when you're going to be here in those 2 5-week blocks, then your space is secured and you don't have to worry about whether you can come or not. Now, again, that rate is a little bit higher to them because they're paying for those 5 weeks if they're coming for 5 weeks at a time. And when you explain it clearly to families, they understand it. And actually having that worksheet, I know it's, we have the online process and the handwritten one, but when they actually write it out by hand, they see and understand exactly what we're talking about. Now, this structure, it's going to give you 3 things that just plain per week cannot. Predictable enrollment, so you can staff around from the beginning to the end of each session. Stable monthly revenue that's going to allow you to forecast your cash flow, plan your expenses, and a natural re-enrollment conversation at the end of the session that keeps families committed through August rather than drifting away in those week-by-week increments. Meaning, if they sign up for the block session 1 and they tell you they're not sure what they're going to do with session 2, no problem, but you're going to have more of an opportunity to talk to them rather than just letting them come and go week by week. Now, for play cafes and enrichment programs, the session structure applies a little bit differently, but the principle is the same. Move toward that commitment-based registration rather than drop in week by week whenever possible. So yours might look a little bit more like what I explained the exceptions are in a preschool or childcare. So in a preschool or childcare, the exception families are the ones who kind of want to take summer as they go, maybe do 2 weeks here, 2 weeks there. That is fine. They can definitely do that, but they have to commit within within those 2 blocks and let you know what those weeks are going to be. So a summer membership model for you, Play Cafe or Enrichment Program, again, you're going to be session-based, just the same, but maybe it's your classes. Maybe you offer your art classes. Now you can still do camps as well, but maybe you're doing your art classes. You're offering your soccer program, could be your enrichment class, whatever that might be. Maybe you have a camp registration with a non-refundable deposit, and that allows them to give you notice if they want to cancel. So again, what we do is you have to give a 48-hour notice to get half your tuition back. And if you give us a 24-hour notice or less, you do not get your tuition back. So it really starts getting parents in the mindset they have to let you know. It has to be predictable. And you do not need to feel guilty at all for asking for that, because you need to plan your team. Your team wants to go on vacation. Your teachers, your camp counselors, your leaders, they all want to go on vacation and spend time with their families as well. And so you have to know and be able to plan accordingly. And so parents have to be part of that process. So one additional structure strategy worth implementing, again, convert your school year closure days into optional premium camp days. Now, this is another strategy outside of summer, but teacher training days in elementary schools, professional development days, holiday breaks, all those things when public school is closed, but parents still feel that they need care. That is what our revenue roadmap calls monetizing the calendar gaps. So there are usually between 10 and 15 days a year. And so if you charge for that day, maybe $50 per child, and you have 20 kiddos, that's an additional $15,000 in revenue from the infrastructure that you already have. Again, we go into more detail into our Clarity Collective about that, but that no school day strategy throughout the school year is also a super great way to add revenue, just like summer camps. So your action steps here. I want you to evaluate your current summer session structure. Are you operating per week registration, or can you do a session-based enrollment? So if you're doing it per week, identify one structural change you can make for this summer, or maybe next summer. Maybe this is for next summer, whether it's moving to a 2-week session model. Maybe it's requiring a deposit that holds a spot. Maybe it's implementing those policies, like I said, a 48-hour notice or a 24-hour notice. I know when I first started, we didn't require any notice, and parents just canceled at the last minute, which left us scrambling and totally overstaffed. So again, now we've implemented that 48-hour process, and everybody understands and follows it. Maybe you can offer a session discount that incentivizes a longer term commitment. So if they commit to 4 weeks, maybe they get the 5th week half off. Any movement toward predictability improves your margin. And remember, those incentives to enroll for 4, get a week free or a week half off, that's only until you get those processes in place. Then that goes away once you start implementing those processes, because then the parents start to expect it. And so now you can move away from having to offer those incentives, and that can just become your policy. Okay, your second action step here, I want you to count the school closure days for your calendar. I want you to look at your calendar and calculate the revenue potential you have if you offered camp on those no school days next year. So look at your calendar from September to the end of your school year. And this is again for next year. Count how many no school days your public schools around you have. Now, some of you may have 1 or 2 different public schools, but either choose one, or you can look at both. When are their parent-teacher conferences? When are their teacher training days? When are their holidays that they're closed and you're not? But you could offer camp days to the siblings that you have in your current program, or maybe they're days that you're closed, maybe President's Day, Veterans Day, and you decide you're going to open for a half-day camp if you get enough parents who are willing to pay the extra fee and sign up. We do that now. We've been doing that for over 10 years, and we always get more parents that say yes, that make it profitable. And usually not all the teachers want to take the time off. And so it always ends up working out. So calculate that number for yourself. And if that number represents a meaningful revenue for your business, build in that no school day camp program next year to the rest of your calendar and start marketing it alongside your summer sessions. Again, we go into great detail, module 4, key services and sales strategies in the Preschool Business Blueprint. And on now to strategy number 3. Add revenue without adding chaos. This is the sweet spot summer add-on strategy. So once your summer camps are priced for profit and you structured them for stability, the final strategy is finding your sweet spot add-ons that increase your revenue per child without without increasing your costs or your team's workload. Now, this is the purposeful profits principle that we use all year long, and we're applying it to summer. More revenue does not have to mean more work. It just means smarter offerings. And the Sweet Spot add-on for summer, that's a service that meets a real family need. It requires minimal additional resources to deliver, and it generates margin above and beyond your base camp pricing. So the best add-ons, they already exist inside your program infrastructure. You just have to price them as separate offerings. So for example, extended care, that's the most universally applicable summer add-on for preschools and childcare programs. Even enrichment programs and play cafes, if you add a camp, the extended care is an easy way to add on revenue. So early drop off before your camp start time or late pickup after your camp time ends, those are services that working families desperately need. And guess what? They're going to pay a premium for. So you just have to think about how you're structuring them. So if your standard summer camp is 9 to 1, maybe you offer a morning extended care from 7 to 9 or 8 to 9. And then maybe a lunchtime from 1 to 2, or maybe a full extended afternoon from 1 to 5. Whatever works best for you. Your goal is to generate revenue from the hours your facility is already open with team members who are already present or who would need to be there for ratio coverage anyway. So price to be profitable. So again, if you have a full day rate, let's say your full day is 8 to 5, but you have a half day program as well, or maybe a summer camp for kiddos from 9 to 1. Your team members are already there from 8 to 5. So charge a premium by the hour or by the time block for families who don't normally use that, but may want it once or twice a week. So most families who need extended care, they're going to pay that hourly rate without significant resistance because the alternative is arranging separate care at different times. And I'm not talking about $5 an hour or $6 an hour. I'm talking about $15 to $20 per hour. Now, themed enrichment add-ons, that's a different way. That's a second way that you can add some high value summer opportunity. So if your core camp runs Monday through Thursday, for example, make Friday an enrichment session, a cooking class, a STEM program, special art class, anything. Visiting artists can come in, or visiting, we call it a visiting field trip, an on-site field trip. Bring someone in, something that's added as an optional premium add-on that parents can choose to purchase. So families who love your program, they're already there. They're already your warmest possible buyers. So they're looking for an enhanced experience. So pricing that Friday enrichment add-on, or again, if you're a half-day camp from 9 to 1, maybe you have a premium enrichment program 3 days a week from 1 to 3 or 1 to 4, whatever that might look like. Really, you're probably going to enroll. You're not going to enroll everyone. Again, this is not for everyone. But if you can enroll 10 kiddos, for example, it's probably going to be worth it and create some extra revenue for you and an extra profit. And it means adding meaningful additional revenue without adding huge facility costs because you're already there and paying for the program anyway, the facility anyway. Another great one are photo packages, end of session experiences. That's a third category that early childhood businesses consistently underutilize. A professional photographer for a single afternoon at the end of each summer session with a digital photo package available for purchase. Parents love that. So again, you can offer it to the kiddos at the end of the session and then open it up to a family summer portrait session. It's a great way, and parents will pay for that curated set of summer camp photos for their child. You keep a portion and the photographer gets a client pipeline. Win-win for both of you. Now, the principle across all of these ideas is the same. Look at what the families are already wanting more from your program. Identify the delivery mechanism that requires the least additional overhead. We call this your sweet spot offers, and price it with real margin. You're not adding complexity. You are adding intentional revenue layers to a structure that you've already built. So 2 action steps here. Number 1, identify your top 2 sweet spot summer add-ons, the ones that would meet a genuine family need and require the least additional resource investment to deliver. And price one using that cost plus margin formula from strategy 1, and then add them to your summer registration form as an optional upgrade before your marketing goes out. Give it a test run with your current family. See how it goes. See what they say. Even a 30% uptick and a $40 add-on across maybe, 20 to 30 families, that's going to generate like $300 to $400 in incremental revenue each week from that one program. Now, Action step number 2, maybe survey your current enrolled families right now. Maybe the ones that are there today and summer families you know are coming back. Even an informal, like quick email or a text with one question, what would make your child's summer experience even better? And if you can list out some of the things that you know you could offer, can you offer a reading enrichment program? Can you offer a STEM program? Can you offer soccer? Can you offer piano? The answers, they're going to tell you exactly which add-ons your specific community would buy. And this is market research that takes about 15 minutes, and it's going to eliminate the guesswork from your offer design. Now, my friend, today we moved summer from a financial survival season to a purposeful profit season. And when you price your programs using real cost plus margin math, structure your sessions for revenue stability instead of just family convenience, and then you layer in that sweet spot framework for your summer add-ons, that's going to increase your revenue per child without multiplying your workload. Summer stops being the season that drains you, and it starts being the season that funds your fall. That is the Purposeful Profits Booster and your key sales and services strategies in action. More margin, not more hustle. All right, my friend, let's take a quiet moment. If you're driving, just take a deep breath. If you're home, close your eyes. Picture this. It's the last week of August. Your summer programs, they wrapped up last week. You're sitting down with your CEO cash flow planner and you look at your summer financials. Your profit margin, it's sitting at 14%. Cash reserves, the strongest they've been all year. And your fall enrollment, it's already at 85% capacity because you've been marketing it alongside your summer. Your team, they're energized. You are not limping into September. You are launching into it. And that's what summer looks like when it's built as a profit strategy, not an obligation. Your 3 next steps. Go download that summer program profit calculator at kellypeak.com, where you're going to find information about this week's podcast episode. It's going to be all about your pricing. If you haven't already done that for summer, get that done. Next, I want you to grab the CEO Profit Spotlight Guide. You can go find it at kellypeak.com under Shop Resources. This is going to give you the complete framework for identifying your highest profit services. You're going to build out those sweet spot offers portfolio, and you're going to price your programs to generate margin that your business actually needs to survive. And then if you want deeper support, you want a complete summer and fall profit strategy with live coaching and a community of early childhood CEOs doing the work alongside you, be sure to join our Shine CEO membership program or our Clarity Collective. You can go find those at kellypeak.com. We walk you through the profit maximizer, the revenue roadmap, the sweet spot offer strategy, all of that inside our preschool business blueprint. Now, here's what I want you to remember, my friend. Pricing your program for profit is not a betrayal of your mission. Let me repeat myself. You can price your programs for profit. That is the foundation that makes your mission, why you got into this work, sustainable. You cannot keep serving families, paying your team well, and creating the kind of quality experiences that make a difference in children's lives if your business is not financially healthy, if you don't have the peace of mind to go to work every day. Charging what you are actually worth, what your programs are actually worth, what your team is actually worth, that is not greed, that is leadership. Summer should fund your fall. So let's make sure it does, my friend. Prices up, stress down. I want you to be living that time freedom lifestyle you so deserve. So I'll see you next week.